To Cleveland, Ohio, where all of us on the auto racing crew join with the nation in celebrating the 4th of July weekend and the birthday of Miss Liberty. We're on the shores of Lake Erie, Burke Lakefront Airport, where we have partly cloudy skies, the temperature 88 degrees, only 72 on the lake. It could reach in the low 90s by the time this race is over. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, along with Larry Newber. Welcome to the Budweiser and Cleveland Grand Prix. We have had this race over the years be a 500-kilometer race. However, now it's only an 88-lap sprint race. What we've done essentially is go from an endurance contest to a sprint race, Larry.
Well, Bob, if you look at the results of 1986 so far, you would say, yeah, every Indianapolis car race has become a sprint car race because so many people are competitive. You have to go good from the very start to win. But the conditions here today are just abominable for racing. That is, the conditions are very abrasive for the race cars. It's something you cannot measure in temperature degrees or maybe even humidity. It's just very difficult in the car. So it's very possible that what we have here for the first time in 1986 is a return to an endurance contest.
6 races this year, only 1 repeat winner. That, of course, Michael Andretti. He doesn't start from the front row in today's race, instead from row number 2.
Well, Bob, the only other time he did not start from the front row this year, he won, so maybe that's an omen for him. But what we also see up front is parity. In the first 5 rows, 10 positions, we have 5 winners of 1986, plus 5 real bona fide candidates. Because of the conditions, because of how competitive everybody has become in 1986, truly, I believe this is anybody's race.
One problem we have seen crop up quite often in practice and in qualifying this weekend, broken half shafts. For more on that, let's go to the 3rd member of our broadcast crew for today. Working the pit area, here's Jack Arute.
Bob, whenever you come to a temporary racing facility, whether it's streets or the Burke Lakefront Airport like this, you're going to have some problems. Now, the half shaft problem that you refer to, take a look at what a half shaft should normally look like. That takes the drive from the transmission back to the rear wheels. Well, the bumps around this racetrack have made half shafts come back after practice to look like this, more like a pretzel than a straight arrow. Now, what the crews have done, or actually the owners and management here at Burke Lakefront Airport, they brought out a 20-ton roller last night and tried to roll out the Charlie horses, those bumps in the corners. We'll just have to wait and see, though, because if not, we'll see just as many half shafts in the trash cans as Budweiser cans, and that could be a problem.
All right, thank you, Jack. 8 drivers broke the previous track record in qualifying this weekend. The Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix is being brought to you by Budweiser. Beechwood Age for that clean, crisp taste. This Bud's for you. By Honda 4Trax all-terrain vehicles. Honda, follow the leader. By Fram Bendix and Autolite, which are all quality products of Allied Automotive. And by Mobile Super Unleaded, the high-octane gasoline with a plus. Not only the ESPN crew, but many drivers are wishing the nation a happy birthday today and the birthday of Miss Liberty.
Mario Andretti.
We'll start the engines and begin this Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix. Right now, let's go down to the start-finish line. And Mark Danner, the Vice President of Anheuser-Busch.
It's a privilege for me to say, gentlemen, start your engines.
Cars and drivers fire their engines and get ready as 10,000 balloons, courtesy of the Cleveland United Way Services, are released from the area of turn number 4 between the racetrack and Lake Erie. Drivers get set. There is the pole sitter, Danny Sullivan, getting ready to go. His teammate, Rick Mears, starts in 7th position this afternoon. Emerson Fittipaldi will start on the outside of row number 1 in his Marlboro March car number 20. Randy Lewis gets sets to go also. In his number 36, Ray Kim Raynor Lola. Al Unser Jr., the defending champion of this race, and right beside him will be Michael Andretti. Now, here are the row assignments for today's race. On the pole, qualifying at 135.144 miles an hour, Danny Sullivan in the Miller American March, outside of row number 1. In car number 20 will be Emerson Fittipaldi in the Marlboro March. He qualified at 134.472. In the second row, inside, Michael Andretti in the Graco STP lean machine, outside of row number 2, car number 30, driven by Al Unser Jr., the Domino's Pizza Lola. In the third row will be Mario Andretti in car number 5, the Newman Haas Lola. Outside of the third row, a good qualifying effort for Jeff Brabham in the Honda-powered Family Spirit car number 8. In row number 4, Rick Mears, car number 1, the Penske 7-11 march. On the outside of the 4th row will be Kevin Cogan in the 7-11 march, car number 7. Row number 5, Roberto Guerrero in car number 2, the True Value Emerson march. On the outside of the 5th row will be Bobby Rahal from Dublin, Ohio in the number 3 Budweiser True Sports march. In the 6th row, Roberto Moreno in the 5-star Marketing Lola car number 9. Outside of the 6th row will be car number 71, the Living Well Fitness march driven by Canadian Jacques Villeneuve. In the 7th row, he's second in points, the Skull Bandit driven by Tom Steva, car number 33. Outside of the 7th row will be Raul Boisel in the number 22 Duracell Copper Top Lola. He'll carry our in-car camera. The 8th row has Jose Le Garza in car number 55 and Dominic Dobson in number 24. Row number 9 consists of Randy Lanier in number 12 and Johnny Rutherford, the Vermont American March, car number 21. The 10th row, rookie Rick Miskiewicz in car 16 and Randy Lewis in car number 36. The 11th row, it's Rocky Moran in car number 56 and Dick Simon in number 23. The 12th row consists of number 59, Johnny Parsons, alongside Dale Coyne in number 19, and starting from the 25th position, all alone in row number 13, the number 61 MCI Race for Life March. That will be driven by Ari Lyondike.
And riding with us, or we are actually riding with him, Raul Boisel. This is the Duracell Copper Top Dick Simon machine. Boisel, you can see his best Cleveland finish ever was a 12th last year, and this gives you an idea of what the course looks like from the driver's view. You can see how wide it is as they go across the runways. Runway 22 going into the back portion of this racetrack. Raul Boisel carrying our in-car camera today.
And one of the drivers who had an excellent qualifying performance, timing in 6th fastest in the Honda-powered car, is Jeff Brabham, number 8. Now, they had some problems with the car yesterday during qualifying. He could only run about 2 laps before coming in. However, when he was out there on the track, the car was very, very fast, and I think he's a contender for this race.
Bob, if he finishes this race, he is more than a contender. He is one of the top contenders for this event. Almost everybody has a Cosworth except just the 2, the stock block of Dale Coyne and the Honda of Jeff Brabham. Their problem, by the way, was turbo. They think it might have been fixed.
There are 12 corners on this course, which is almost 2.5 miles in length. Once they cross the start-finish line, they go into corner number 1, which is a left-hander. That's the area that Raul Boisel is now approaching. He's just crossing the start-finish line. There it is, moving into turn number 1. Immediately after negotiating turn number 1, it's into turn number 2. Off of that, there is a short straightaway before they get to the sharpest corner on the course, turn number 3.
Well, the first 2 turns are actually a chicane at speed. The speeds will get up to about 130 miles an hour. Now we approach the most important turn on the racetrack. It's the only hairpin. You can see the hard right that Raul starts to make, and you can also see that it leads onto this long crescent-shaped backstretch. Off to the right, which the camera angle from this particular side of Raul's helmet doesn't show, is a runway, and it's about 15 Indy car lengths wide. You can see they're going across the lines. There's a kink right there that you can see the green flag in the graphic in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, where it looks like a kink on the graph, but in reality it's full speed all the way around to turn number 5.
Turn number 5 is a right-hander. That's the area that Boisel is approaching right now. There he takes the car through that area. And a very short straightaway, and then into corner number 6, which leads to the middle stretch.
A very bumpy section of the racetrack, one of 2 tremendously bumpy sections that gave all the teams fits really all weekend long with a bevy of broken half shafts. We are going down the middle stretch. It's about a quarter of a mile in length. It happens very quickly. Got to be careful to not get off the course. And now into the section of the racetrack called the back 40. You can see that little rectangle on the right-hand side of the picture. There it is, full screen on your TV screen at home. The back 40, it's basically a quarter-mile rectangle which has turns 7, 8, 9, and 10 on it.
And corner number 8 is the one they're negotiating right now. Now into corner number 9, which is again a right-hander. Short straightaway, which is little more than an area that connects turn number 9 and 10. Then they come onto the main straightaway, reach the fastest part of the racetrack. As you can see, the drivers are scuffing in the tires as they come down the front straightaway here. And this is also where they will be entering the pit area. After they come down this long straightaway, they head into corner number 11, which is a tight right-hander, onto corner number 12 on left, and it's back to the start-finish line.
107 75 are the predicted top speeds as they come down this long straightaway. You see some of the balloons that are still out, still on the racetrack.
And here they come down for the start, and the green flag is out. Kind of a spread-out start, but into the first and second corners through the chicane. It is Emerson Fittipaldi that has grabbed the lead from the outside of row number 1. Running in second position, Danny Sullivan right now. Michael Andretti third, Al Unser Jr., and Kogan is in trouble. Kevin Kogan missed the third corner, has run into the grass. He'll get back on some concrete and get back up to speed, but he's going to lose many positions. And the question is, did he do some damage to that car? Kevin Kogan in trouble on the very first lap here at Cleveland.
Here they come down the middle stretch, headed for the back 40. Yeah, somebody's off. Somebody has gone off. Lots of dust there coming out of turn number 6. I think he kept it going straight. It looked like a yellow car. It might well have been Rick Mears, but there is no spin. I was about to say that fuel consumption is a major topic of discussion in the pit area. Fuel consumption is expected to be very close. Now watch for Kevin Kogan. He gets offline. There you see him on the right-hand side of your screen trying to get around that turn, but the car just simply won't come back to him.
Just simply could not make that third corner, but he did ride it back onto the track as we go once again inside Raul Boycel's car. He is at the end of the straightaway right here, going into corner number 11. There it is. There's the big bump they've been talking about all weekend. Now corner number 12 and crossing the finish line once again. Raul Boycel, you can see how bumpy it is on these taxiways and runways here at Burke.
Well, I had a conversation with Dick Simon yesterday, Bob, and, you know, you can set these cars up to ride not quite so rough, but particularly in the Lola cars, the rougher you set them up or the lower-rated springs that they're higher-rated springs that you have, the faster they'll go. Now, it's a little tougher on the driver, but boy, it does make the difference in the performance of the machine.
The leader is Emerson Fittipaldi in car number 20, but he is being challenged by Danny Sullivan. Sullivan almost grabbed the lead away from him right there, coming out of turn number 7, but Emerson was able to hold on. He's now negotiating turn number 9 at the far east end of this race course. Now into corner number 10 and onto the front straight once again, and here is Kevin Kogan making a pit stop. Unfortunate circumstances for Kevin Kogan. Let's go to Jack Arute in the pit area.
An unfortunate set of circumstances have brought Kevin Kogan into the pits very early. They're changing 3 tires all the way around, the front ones, the right rear. Now they're going to pick up the 4th tire. So that excursion into the dirt, the agricultural racing for Kevin Kogan has cost him dearly. The crew is also taking a look at the rear half shaft area. Now they've dropped the jack. They're still waiting on him. And there seems to be definitely a problem. They're trying to pull all the grass out of the nose because the wings aren't adjusted properly. Very, very long stop here for Kevin Kogan.
Kogan still in the pit area. Meanwhile, on the racetrack, a great battle for 4th position. In 4th right now is Little Al. Al Unser Jr. Right behind him, though, is Mario Andretti.
Bob, as we watch this battle between Al Jr. and Mario, one comment about Kevin Kogan, a brand new crew chief this week. Larry Curry, with whom he almost won the Indianapolis 500, has moved over to the Jacques Villeneuve car, and Cole Silva, a man who's been with this team for the last couple of years, is the new crew chief for Kevin Kogan. Probably will be the crew chief for the rest of the year, according to Jim McGee, Patrick, and the people. He must be very disappointed because I'm sure that he wanted to do well, wanted to score high in his first test in the classroom.
Al Unser Jr. and Mario Andretti, 4th and 5th. In 3rd position ahead of these two is Jeff Brabham. Now make that Michael Andretti is in 3rd position. In 2nd is Danny Sullivan, and the leader at this point is Emerson Fittipaldi.
Now, I cannot overstress how much of a chess match, we've used that term before, but this race really becomes. The crews expect the rate of attrition to be very high. Now, maybe because everybody is being so careful, maybe that'll bring the rate of attrition down. But it was to the point where a lot of the crew managers, team leaders, didn't really want to lead the first part of the race. You can see Sullivan testing Emerson Fittipaldi, but everybody thinks that today the conditions are going to be so difficult in the car, unless you're being passed by a mess of other people, you don't really want to lead, particularly the early stages here. So we'll see how it unfolds.
So the leader is Emerson Fittipaldi. He finished 2nd last week at Long Beach, or rather at the Meadowlands. In 2nd place is the winner last week, Danny Sullivan. We'll be right back in just a moment. In Cleveland, Ohio for the Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix. Stop number 7 on the CART PPG IndyCar World Series for 1986. Emerson Fittipaldi is leading in the to his good show. Fittipaldi, your leader. Danny Sullivan running in second position. In third is Michael Andretti. Fourth place now is Jeff Brabham. In fifth is Al Unser Jr. Sixth position belongs to Mario Andretti. In seventh spot is Rick Mears. Eighth is the number 2 car driven by Roberto Guerrero. In ninth place is Roberto Moreno. Guerrero running in eighth. Moreno in ninth. And in 10th position is Bobby Rahal. There is Roberto Guerrero in car number 2.
We've only gone 5 laps, so I can guarantee you everybody we're looking at here in the first part of this race is a legitimate candidate to win. There's Guerrero, who recently just got around the other Roberto Moreno, who's wearing the colors of the state of New Mexico again this week. He actually went back to that about a week ago. You remember seeing Valvoline on the side of that car a little earlier this year, but Rick Gallis has gone back to flag waving and proudly displaying the colors of his home state of New Mexico, the land of enchantment. But there is Guerrero, the man who makes his home in Colombia, although he has a couple of homes also here in the States. He lives out in California. Just recently put up a summer home on the northern side of Indianapolis in an area they call Broad Ripple. It's kind of like the Greenwich Village of Indianapolis.
And you know, the town that Roberto is from in Colombia, Medellin, is where Pope John Paul spoke to about 800,000 people yesterday.
There's Bobby Rahal, of course, the winner of this year's Indianapolis 500. And even though right now Rahal is being shown back in about the 10th position, believe me, Rahal is another one of those guys who probably has a pretty good handle on what they want to do. The race is going to go 88 laps, about 211 miles, I think, Bob. But if the race is going to require a lot of thought processes, there's a lot of factors going on here. You've got to protect the half shaft. You can't miss too many shifts. It's going to be very hard. Here comes Rahal moving underneath Moreno. They go side by side. Moreno will not give in. Rahal holds his line and gets by. Bobby probably very surprised to find that anybody want to race like him at that time, at this time in the race, but both of them doing an excellent job. And Moreno also losing out. Is that Villeneuve moving in there? I think it is. I believe that's Jacques Villeneuve and Tom Sneva in the green car now putting the heat on Roberto Moreno.
Well, that pass occurred in corner number 6, where we have seen many spins. Now Rahal is high on the racetrack and losing positions. He is definitely slowing down. So Bobby Rahal, after passing Roberto Moreno in fine style in corner number 6, suddenly loses 3 positions in the east end of the racetrack.
Bobby Rahal has definitely flown off the pace. He's not even come into the picture yet. Rahal, I am guessing, must be coming into the pit area because
yes,
Rahal is missing. Here he comes, creeping, crawling, agonizing into the pits. Bobby Rahal, a man who I know came here with hopes that this might be a victory for him. His second of 1986. He likes this racetrack. He led here a couple of years ago, and mechanical problems at the very end put him out.
It looks as if he may have a suspension problem there on the front end of the car. Now here you can see Roberto Guerrero possibly coming in contact. Yes, coming in contact with Rahal in corner number 9. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Well, you guys were right as far as the problem. It was a left rear tire that went down during that altercation with Jacques Villeneuve that brought Bobby Rahal into the pits. It tore up the outside of the tire, gave him a flat, a tough break for the Indy 500 champion.
And you remember last weekend at the Meadowlands, he was battling for the top position with Danny Sullivan when he was hit and dropped back several positions. Here is Emerson Fittipaldi.
Michael has moved by Sullivan. Michael has caught Danny Sullivan in traffic. There you see the blue and yellow Craco car, the Lean Machine, the STP Wolf Systems Lean Machine, moving by Danny Sullivan, and Michael Andretti is now the runner-up car as they were moving their way through slower traffic.
The man on the move at this point is Michael Andretti. There he is in second position.
Michael way off the track.
Gets off the racetrack, but we've seen this to be quite a common occurrence in the practice and in the qualifying. You simply get the right side off of the racetrack, kick up a little dust, but it really creates no major problem.
Well, these guys make it look easy, but I can't stress to you how difficult it is to hold on to the car when all of a sudden one of the rear drive wheels actually has no traction whatsoever, and all of a sudden you're driving a car that's similar to having a broken half shaft when you have only drive on one wheel. But all of these people make it look very easy from top to bottom.
Emerson Fittipaldi, followed by Michael Andretti. Danny Sullivan still running in 4th position. A good show, about 6.5 seconds back is Jeff Brabham in the Honda-powered machine. 5th place belongs to Al Unser Jr. 6th is the number 5 of Mario Andretti. And in 7th position is Rick Mears. There is Danny Sullivan, who won last weekend at the Meadowlands. totally unfamiliar with. This car that he is driving this weekend and the car that he put on the pole is a brand new March, which was just taken out of the track on Thursday before they arrived here in Cleveland.
Here at Cleveland, you have a very unusual situation where you have blacktop and cement. As you can see, as you watch Michael Andretti, they are on an airport. The runways are actually blacktop, but the access roads connecting the runways are cement.
And that has caused several drivers a little bit of consternation. That is concrete and asphalt, the two different types of services. And we asked Michael Andretti about the problems caused by that.
Well, you drive it, and then also in the setup, you know, you have to reach a compromise on where you get it to work fairly good on both. You can't get it to work great on one, and then the other one, it won't be the same. So it's a bit of a compromise.
Michael Andretti still in second position here. Meanwhile, out on the course, there is a problem with Roberto Moreno. There he is with a lot of smoke and vapor coming from the rear part of that race car. It's all over for Roberto Moreno.
Yeah, not a crash. That's either engine or turbo. Probably an engine. Now, this is not one of the Hondas. Remember, the Honda's still out there running scared, running wild. Jeff Brabham is still very much in this race, and Brabham holds on to the fourth position. Moreno, by the way, is just south of the lake, as all of us are. It's outside the back 40. Remember that quarter-mile rectangle that we showed you at the top of the show? That's where Roberto has come to a stop. He actually blew the engine going down the backstretch, and then he coasted down toward the safety crews and rolled quietly and silently down there just to make sure that there was no fire.
He is not in any danger as far as other contestants are concerned. The car is well off of the actual race course. You can see him unstrapping now and beginning to climb out of the race car. It is near corner number 8, but he is well off of the racing track itself. So Moreno out of the car and is an early retiree here in the Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix. Now Emerson Fittipaldi is moving to the inside of Kevin Kogan and lapping him. Emerson Fittipaldi beginning to move through some of the slower traffic already and put laps on them. Kogan, of course, with the problem on the very first lap of the race in corner number 3. Came in to change the tires, but he has fallen now 1 lap down. Fittipaldi is your leader with Michael Andretti in second and Danny Sullivan running third. We'll be back with more in just a moment from Cleveland. Sunday, July 13th at 10 o'clock Eastern Time on Sunday morning. We'll bring you from Brands Hatch, England, the British Grand Prix. The defending champion is Alain Prost, current world driving champion, but of course Ayrton Senna and any number of people, including Nigel Mansell, will be there to challenge him. Next Sunday at 10 o'clock Eastern Time, the Formula One British Grand Prix. Now, earlier today, we hope you saw the French Grand Prix right here on ESPN. The winner was Nigel Mansell. Finishing second was Prost. Nelson Piquet was third. K.K. Rosberg fourth. Arnoux was fifth, and Jacques Lafitte sixth. So another good performance by the Ligiers, finishing fifth and sixth.
And I think we once again have had a change in the World Championship point standings. I believe that took Prost back up in first. There's Arie Luyendyk, who radioed into his crew about 2 laps ago. We were able to monitor it, that he was experiencing a very bad vibration, and now he has come to a stop out on the course. I think he is out inside the back 40. Luyendyk motioning to the safety crews. Apparently a little bit of flame kicking up there in the engine compartment. But Arie Luyendyk had a long weekend. He had a serious electrics problem during practice on Saturday. He was unable to qualify, was actually added to the field as a promoter's option. Started dead last, but we expected him to move up because Arie has turned in some pretty good performances, not only on the road courses, but also on the ovals of kart the last couple of seasons. But Arie's day ends prematurely.
You saw there on our 2858 update, our congratulations to Boris Becker, who was the winner at Wimbledon earlier today, defeating Ivan Lendl. Becker, the winner at Wimbledon. Here at Cleveland, Ohio, the lead continues to be held by Emerson Fittipaldi. Al Unser Jr. is in the pit area. Let's go to Jack.
Al Unser Jr. has come into the pits. This is definitely an unscheduled pit stop, and we're, as you can see, trying desperately to make our way down here because we got caught off guard. It looks as if we may be having a serious overheating problem. They've applied a lot of water to the radiator, and they're adjusting a wing. He, too, has been off the course. That was one of the issues we wanted to bring up here, gentlemen. We talked about the fact early on with the half shafts that there was a potential problem there with the racetrack itself. Well, let me tell you, there is another potential problem, and there again we've seen it. In the 3 separate pits here, the incidents that we've seen, 2 of them have been cut tires, and now Al Unser Jr. Let me explain to you what's happening. When they get off the racetrack, they're kicking debris back up out onto the track itself. They're bringing up little stones out onto the pavement. They're being caught in these racing tires, and they're cutting the tires down. That was the case with Rahal and with Kogan. Not the racetrack excursions that put him out of the race, but the debris that they picked up once they get back on the racetrack.
And Little Al Jr. also missing a right front wing on that car. Kevin Kogan has returned to the pit area for the second time. Now, Kevin went a lap down. Now he goes 2 laps down on the field, and it is not a good day for Kevin Kogan.
For fuel economy, if you're wondering, well, how soon can you stop and go the distance? There is Dick Simon, I believe. No, either that or it's Boiselle. I think it's Simon, though. Yeah, it's Dick Simon, the number 23 Copper Top machine. And Dick Simon, who wasn't really sure whether or not he was going to compete this weekend, has had a short day also. He made the decision almost on the spur of the moment overnight, Friday night, qualified. There's a teammate going by our camera car. Raul waves bye-bye to team owner and teammate Dick Simon and goes on his merry way.
And here is Emerson Fittipaldi, the leader, completing lap number 18. 18 out of 88 laps completed. And Kogan is unstrapping himself and climbing out, and there could be a fire in that car. They're dousing him with water. Kevin Kogan appears to be okay, though, but it's going to be all over for Kevin Kogan.
Well, Kevin Kogan, as we mentioned earlier, with the brand new crew chief, they certainly would have liked to have shown better. He had a problem in years past here. Also, I think, had a small fire here in the pits in Cleveland. Jack, maybe you can give us some more information.
Well, while the crew was working on the back bonnet of the area, actually looking at the engine because he came in coasting without any power, they decided to add just a little more fuel in case they could get it refired again. Well, the bonnet was off, and what happened is when they dislodged the connecting hose, some of it actually spilled down onto the hot motor. It burst into flames, and all of us scattered, including Kevin Kogan, who came out of the belts quicker than I've ever seen.
But he appears to be okay. I don't think he was burned in any way. You can see him...
As you can see, he's perfectly all right. There was some quick moves by the crew themselves, grabbing some fire extinguishers and putting buckets of water down his back that saved him from some potential injury.
Well, of course, they run alcohol, methanol, in these cars, and it has a situation where you cannot see the flame. So when you feel things start to get hot, you get out of there, and that's exactly what Kevin Kogan did.
Bob, let's go back to this question of fuel economy, because I can guarantee you it's going to rear its head in this race, just as it has in almost every single other Indianapolis car race this year. The point to consider and the point to pay attention to is lap number 28. All the crews tell me that if anybody stops prior to lap number 28, beyond a shadow of any doubt, they've got to stop 2 more times for a grand total of 3. If they can go beyond that point, say to lap 30, which, by the way, is the exact point of the formula, 72 miles or an average of 1.8 miles per gallon, it's possible a team, a driver, may be able to go the distance with just 2 stops. But, boy, they couldn't be any closer, right on the ragged edge of fuel economy. So think in terms of lap 28. If anybody stops before that point, you know they're planning on at least 2 more stops. If somebody goes further than that, maybe, just maybe, they can stretch it with just 2 stops.
Jeff Brabham is running in 4th position, some 13 seconds behind the leader. Nevertheless, he has been in 4th position for almost since the race began and doing a fine job. This, again, is the car that's powered by a Honda engine, and the crew feels that this is the engine of the future.
Well, Bob, the big difference that Jeff says in this car is how quickly it picks up. He is very pleased with the horsepower and the miles per hour they are able to obtain on the straightaway. So they're very optimistic. We told you this is the 3rd straight time that they've used the Honda engine in their car in an Indianapolis car race, and this may well be its best performance. Again, that was just Jeff getting a little bit off course, kicking up dust, no smoke from the engine.
And right behind him is Mario Andretti, who is in 5th spot, so this is the battle for 4th. 4th is Jeff Brabham, 5th is Mario Andretti. As we told you early, Jeff had a problem in qualifying yesterday. The car was simply not performing well for a long period of time. He went out on several occasions, just turned 1 or 2 laps, but he did qualify very, very well. Started this race in 6th position and is now 4th.
88 laps to go, so we're still very early in this race. Right now, Fittipaldi looks very strong. Michael Andretti, who knows what he's got? He's certainly keeping him in view. He's watching the tail of that number 20 Marlboro car.
Chrysler Grand Prix. We'll return right after these messages. Stay with us.
All the right parts in
Laps, Emerson Fittipaldi, your leader. Michael Andretti is running second. Danny Sullivan is third, about 5 seconds behind. Jeff Brabham is in fourth, and Mario Andretti is fifth. In sixth position is Roberto Guerrero. Seventh is Rick Mears. In eighth position is Jacques Villeneuve. There's the average, 129, almost 130 miles an hour after the first 20 laps, and that exceeds the previous track record.
Well, Bob, the Indy cars have been setting new track records everywhere they've gone this year. In the 6 previous races, there have been 3 new race track records. Kevin Colgan at Phoenix, Bobby Rahal, of course, at Indianapolis, and Mario Andretti at Portland a couple of races ago. And they have set 4, including Cleveland, brand new one-lap qualifying records. So those engineers who speculated that maybe the new rules would at least put a lid on the speeds, if not slow them down, I guess were wrong.
Finished 8th here last year after starting 6th in this race. However, his best finish of the year was at the Meadowlands last year, and it's also been his best performance so far this year. He finished second last weekend to Danny Sullivan.
Well, interestingly enough, that one finish of second place last week was his first road course finish of this year. He's finished 7th, 3rd, and had a did not finish on the oval. So Sullivan, whom everybody thought would really be a terror on the road courses, I think traditionally since he's come to IndyCar racing, has done just a tad better on the oval, surprisingly. But the question is, how much in control of the situation as we watch Michael Andretti running in second is Emerson Fittipaldi, Gary Ravazzini, Pat Patrick in the crew. As we told you, as they're getting ready to lap Bobby Rahal, can you believe that? As we have told you, just how much will attrition play a hand in the outcome of today's race?
And in second position here is Michael Andretti. Now, the crew suffered somewhat of a setback earlier this week when it was announced that their design engineer, Adrian Newley, would be leaving to go to Carl Haas's Formula One. We asked Michael about it.
I think it will. I think we'll really miss Adrian, but again, it's nothing's definite yet. He hasn't signed anything yet, and there's still a shot that he'll be back with us. So we'll find out. But I just hope we don't lose him, because he was definitely a big factor on how we're doing this year, and we really miss him.
I would think it's pretty certain, though, that Adrian Newey would be leaving Michael Andretti and going to the Carl Haas Formula One effort later in the season.
Well, that's quite a lure anytime you get an opportunity to go Formula One racing. And, Michael really is to be applauded, I think, for his honesty, because I believe that most people, Michael doing a little bit of wiggle there as he comes to turns 1 and 2, most people would have said, oh, we got a very strong crew, and gee, we won't miss him at all. We'll be able to get by. They've got a very strong crew. I do believe that the Craigville people can compensate for it, but, hats off to Michael for saying, yeah, he's a good man, and we really don't want him to leave.
So the battle for second position is between Michael Andretti, and we've had a crash just out of corner number 10.
2 cars involved. We can't see who they are from that angle above. Everything looks black and white, but it's coming on to the long section of this racetrack.
We believe that Johnny Parsons is one of the cars involved, the number 59 machine, the other machinist union car, the teammate to Jose Legarza. Johnny Parsons involved, but there was also another car involved. They have obviously come in contact with the outside retaining wall just coming onto the main straightaway out of corner number 10. You can see a lot of debris on the race course, so the cars and drivers will be dodging the debris as they come off of corner number 10.
Well, with 24 laps down, we are within 2 or 3 laps of the normal pit stops. The other driver we are told involved is, there it is, Jacques Villeneuve. Boy, what a disappointment for them, because they are the recipients of the Larry Curry move. They are the ones who got Larry Curry. There's the end of it. Jacques Villeneuve would be the car up front, and Johnny Parsons the trailer. And not possible to tell what happened from that angle, Bob.
Well, it could be that Johnny Parsons could possibly have hit some debris or run into a tire that was knocked off the Villeneuve machine, causing him to hit the wall. We don't know. But there is Villeneuve running to the pit area. Obviously, he is okay, and we believe that that Johnny Parsons Jr. also is not injured in this crash. And of course, only in the area of the racetrack in which the accident is there a yellow. We do not go full course yellow unless it is a serious situation with driver injury or a blockage of the racetrack. Down to Jack Arute now, who is with Kevin Kogan, who dropped out very early.
Kevin, we were talking just before we went on the air, and it seems as if there's been something for everyone here today. They've had flat tires, off-course excursions, a rough afternoon. What finally put you out?
Well, first we got a flat tire, obviously, and I couldn't make the turn down to Hairpin because the brakes wouldn't work so good. And then finally I got put out with a, looks like an electrical system.
And then the fire while you were sitting in the car. Did you feel any of the heat? We reported that they were really working very quickly.
Well, I didn't feel any of the heat, but everybody was running around quite quickly, so I knew there was a problem.
Speaking of fires in the pits, Dominic Dobson's car is on fire directly in front of us here and next to the Domino's Pizza car. 2 pits away from us. We're going to make our way to it. As you can see, it's been put out, but it looks like mosquito fog has been put down. There you can see the aftermath, and there is still the heat. The fire is still continuing here.
And of course, Jack, one of the things that CART did several years ago was have these huge drums of water, and they are utilizing that water very much now, dousing several crew members in the car itself.
God damn it!
Well, the fire now, you'll see it on the replay, continued on the back of Dominic. You see all that action. It's Dominic who's the center of it. All that water is being dumped on him. They thought the fire had gone out on Dominic. Now he's getting out of the car. Now watch when he gets out. He's got fire in the back of his neck. He starts asking for the water. He's asking for water in the back of my neck. You cannot see the flames. It's an alcohol fire. He's still on fire, asking for more water. Don't think about the race car. I got fire in the back of my neck.
Everything appears to be somewhat settled down now. Jack Arute, of course, is down there and will try to bring us a report on whether there were any injuries in this fire in the Dominic Dobson pit. That's the car number 24. And let's go down to Jack.
Well, this is the aftermath behind me of the Dominic Dobson fire. Some very quick and efficient work, both by the track crew and the pit crews themselves, because as you can see, where the fire was concentrated was right where the main fuel load for the A.J. Watson team is stored. That was the main source of concern after the fire on Dominic Dobson's neck was put out. It was only about 35 seconds ago that they finally extinguished the flames coming out of the fuel tank down to the connecting hoses. A very close and very hot time down here in A.J. Watson's pit.
Bob, I'm pretty sure that I saw Dominic sitting peacefully as you can be after just being doused, being put out on fire. Sitting there, I think he's okay. Pit stop routine coming in.
And Michael Andretti is in, so is Emerson Fittipaldi, the leader. We'll watch the pit stop of Michael Andretti, who was running second when he came in for this pit stop. There is Emerson Fittipaldi, who is also in the pits. And we are on lap number 28, so we are right on schedule with the first series of stops. Emerson Fittipaldi's crew works on the car. They say he has the work completed. Go back out there on the track, and so is Michael Andretti's work completed. He stands on the gas and goes back into the competition. But Emerson Fittipaldi wins the battle onto the racetrack, and so Fittipaldi will retain his lead, and Andretti will be in second.
This also gives a bit of a respite to the crews down there at the end of the long front stretch to pick up the debris left over from the accident.
Dominic Dobson involved in that pit fire. He's with our Jack Arute.
And he's soaking wet, cooled off finally, but not the way you wanted to go swimming, Dominic. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm fine. I got a little warm, but they got the fire out. They did a good job of doing it.
Take us back through your first thoughts, though, when you felt the heat and you knew that the back of your neck was on fire.
Well, this is one of the dangers of IndyCar racing, and this is the first fire I've ever really been involved in. I could see in the mirror fuel spraying out. I saw him attack it with water. Immediately I felt the heat. Apparently the back of the phone lit off, so I just bailed out. And I could feel some heat. Apparently there was some fire on me, but I stayed close, and they did a good job of getting the fire out.
Well, Dominic Dobson is out. He's okay. Meanwhile, at the other end of pit road, activity continues in the Penske pit. Danny Sullivan has completed his first pit stop, and he will be going back out into racing wars.
And right ahead of him, Johnny Rutherford out of the pit area. Roberto Guerrero also comes in for a stop. They go back out onto the track, and now Danny Sullivan will move to the inside and pass Johnny Rutherford. But right behind him is Emerson Fittipaldi, the leader of the race.
You got to assume that Sullivan is the leader, though, because I can't believe that his stop was that much slower than Emmo. So let's see how it shakes down. Yeah, right now, data speed is showing that Danny Sullivan takes over the lead with efficient work in the pit area.
Danny Sullivan comes out in first place. And Emerson Fittipaldi, we believe, will be in second, although Jeff Brabham at the moment is shown in second. I'm not sure whether or not he has made his pit stop, though. But at this moment, we believe that Danny Sullivan is the leader of this race after a very quick first pit stop.
Brabham has been in. Michael Andretti, of course, has also been in. So all of the leaders, with the exception of Mario Andretti, have been into the pit area. So at least temporarily, that would indicate that Mario is the leader, but yet with one stop to go. Now we start asking the question, what if Andretti goes 30 or 31 laps? I repeat, theoretically, if Andretti goes 30 or 31 laps, he can go the distance on only 2 stops.
Now we are updated, and in second position is Emerson Fittipaldi, and in third place is Michael Andretti. Running fourth is Mario Andretti. So those 4 cars on the lead lap all have made their pit stops. And then after that, it is Roberto Guerrero and we believe the number 8 car of Jeff Brabham. So first series of pit stops completed. Danny Sullivan has the lead, and about 1.5 seconds behind is Fittipaldi.
Well, here's another piece of strategy that's going on. Remember when Al Unser Jr. came in early because he had the problem with the right front wing? We now pick up on the radio that he is trying to get to lap 33 before he makes his first stop as required for fuel. I still don't think that's quite enough to allow him to do this in one less stop than everybody else.
Well, Emerson Fittipaldi held the lead until the first series of pit stops, but now Danny Sullivan is in the lead. We'll see if Emerson Fittipaldi can catch him. Running in third position is Michael Andretti. Fourth right now is Mario Andretti, and in fifth position, Roberto Guerrero. We'll be right back on this 4th of July holiday weekend.
Is in second place, and Michael Andretti is in third place. When we return to racing, we'll have our race recap.
Past the halfway point, so here is our Napa mid-race recap. The leader at the halfway point, Danny Sullivan. He had been leading 16 laps, about 2.5 seconds ahead of Emerson Fittipaldi. We have completed 15 minutes and 56 seconds. The average speed 128.2 miles an hour. 15 cars are still running, but only 7 on the lead lap. Here are some of the drivers who have dropped out. Roberto Moreno, Ari Luyendyk, Kevin Kogan, Dick Simon, Jacques Villeneuve, and Johnny Parsons in an accident. Dominic Dobson, a fire in the pit area. Dropping out also Roberto Guerrero and Randy Lewis. Down for a observation from the pit area at the halfway point. Here is Jack Arute.
Bob, we've had something for everyone down here. A little bit of fire, a little bit of tire problems, and finally our first definitive report on half-shaft failure. Roberto Guerrero never made it back to the pits. The reason, his rear half-shaft snapped in 2. So some very unusual circumstances here, but the one thing that we're still watching and still very concerned about, especially for Emerson Fittipaldi, is his fuel consumption as we watch Danny Sullivan put another car down a lap. We'll be back with more from Portland right after this. As you can see, it's the skyline of Cleveland, Ohio, and not Portland, Oregon. My apologies to the entire community of Cleveland, Ohio. A great city. I'll tell you what was on my mind, guys. I was thinking about the activities in Portland and fuel consumption. And what else? I'm not used to throwing the brake. What can I say?
We talked about the tremendous heat here at Berks Cleveland Lakefront Airport, and it's gotten to Jack already. His brain is fried. Yeah, right.
That's the truth. I'll tell you, though, one thing that you ought to consider, gentlemen, is keeping appraised of just how the cars are handling, because as we get down to the last few drops of fuel, and it looks as if Bobby Rahal has gone into the wall. Let's throw it back up to you guys.
Bobby has crashed into the wall. This is the same area of the track that Roger Mears crashed several years ago. It's actually off corner number 6, and there you can see Bobby has climbed out of the car, but his is against the retaining wall and heavily damaged. Rahal appears to be okay, though.
I think it is turn 11, Bob. It's just before they enter the short straight right here in front of the pit.
You're right.
It's just over that wall where, you see where the red mark is, that is where Rahal has crashed. Just above that, you see the turn 6 that Bob was referring to, is where Roger Mears crashed about 3 years ago. But Rahal losing control as he comes down at the end of the long front stretch, about 5/8 of a mile, and just before he makes the quick right and left flick coming into the straightaway, that short straightaway that is going to fit. the safety is completed.
And you can see the corner workers displaying the yellow flags in this particular area of the course. Still no overall yellow in today's race, despite the fact that we have had some cars into the wall. No serious injuries, and so just localized yellows at this point. Now, the car that Jack referred to just before the break going a lap down was Tom Sneva. We only have 6 cars now on the lead lap, as Tom Sneva, who was and still is 7th, is now a lap down. 6 cars on the lead lap, being led by Danny Sullivan. 1.4 seconds behind is Emerson Fittipaldi as the crews continue to work on the Bobby Rahal car in turn number 11. There is the leader, Danny Sullivan, going to the inside and putting a lap on the number 56 car of Rocky Moran.
Sullivan second. Michael Andretti, if you're wondering what happened to him, he's still third, but he's dropped 24 seconds fast. The number 5 car of Mario Andretti is in 4th position, and by the way, we believe he's a touch out of synchronization with everybody else in terms of pit stops, but still running in 4th. In 5th position is Jeff Brabham, and you can see the leader, Sullivan, continues to traverse this 2.4-mile road course. In 6th position, number 1 of Rick Mears. 7th and 1 lap down is Sneva. 8th is Jose Lee Garza, 1 lap down. 9th, 2 laps down, 22 Raul Boesel, and 10th was number 3, Bobby Rahal.
And Al Unser Jr. has gone another lap down, so he is now 3 laps down to the leader, Danny Sullivan. The average speed there, you can see it, 128.788 miles an hour after 50 laps. So we've only got about 38 more laps to go in this contest. And Danny Sullivan appears to be slowing down. At least Rick Mears was able to pass him.
Well, keep in mind that Sullivan is getting ready to lap Rick. There's not quite that much differential. Rick moves over. He waves to his teammate, lets him go by. Rick knows that right now Danny's chances of winning are significantly better, so Rick moves over and lets Danny go by.
And so Sullivan not slowing down at all, retaining that lead. There is second place Emerson Fittipaldi, about 2 seconds behind now. Danny Sullivan continuing to set the pace here. He's going for 2 straight IndyCar wins.
Well, Rick, by the way, is driving the car, at least the chassis, that Danny won with last week. Of course, Danny Sullivan, as Bob mentioned to you earlier today, is driving a March chassis that is right out of the box. They've been fast all week long, so it's not just a Sunday phenomenon.
Danny Sullivan, formerly from Louisville, Kentucky. We had a chance to talk with him earlier in the weekend and asking about driving on these taxiways and runways.
Pretty decent road course, but so unusual because it's so flat. How do you approach it, particularly in those first few warm-up laps?
Well, you just have to try to get yourself oriented again and figure out there's no real markers out the back and so forth, and it just takes a little bit of time until some rubber goes down and you can see a few lines, or maybe you pick up something out in the grass or a marker, and particularly this corner coming out here off the back, I guess it'd be about turn 2 or 3, is hard, but the rest of it's not too bad. And, I enjoy the track here. Of course, I had my first win here, so there's a little bit of a soft spot for that. And then also it's a unique place that sitting anywhere in the stands, the people can see the entire circuit. And for a road racing circuit, either purpose-built or artificial, it's, I think, unique in the world. Certainly anywhere I've been.
Danny Sullivan certainly having no problem today negotiating these runways and taxiways as he is in the lead. We're certainly glad to see Bobby Rahal okay after he crashed into the barrier at corner number 11. And in just a few moments, we'll hopefully get an opportunity to talk with Bobby, who has made his way back to the pit area but is conferring with members of his crew.
While we were talking to Danny on tape, we saw his position in terms of road course career earnings, and the Honda is coming to a stop. And Jeff Brabham is coasting down the short straightaway right here in front of the pits. He's not, by the way, in one of the safer areas of the racetrack. He's looking for a place to hide right now. He comes to a stop at one of those points where the rest of the cars are on the other side of the track. The groove is on the right side or high side right after that first left-hander. There is Jeff. You see he's trying to get that car as safe as he can.
Unfortunate because he was running 5th and that Honda engine was performing very well. Jeff Brabham, they pull his car behind the wall. There's the area in which the car has stalled. Jeff Brabham out of the race. Down to Jack now with Bobby.
Well, Bobby Rahal is trying to cool off. He's been talking to his wife, Debbie. First of all, Bobby, what happened out there?
The engine blew up going into the corner. but just locked her up, and that's all she wrote.
Well, now, you've been out there for well over half the race. A lot of talk and a lot of concern before the start of the race about the physical abuse that the car was going to take, the mechanical failures. We're seeing a lot of blown engines, but not a lot of broken half shafts that we all alluded to and thought were going to occur. What's made it different?
There's a lot of race left. I didn't think it was too bad. You know, we got behind it when we got that, picked up that flat. We got back up to 6th place, I guess, at one point. We're running 7th right now and catching people. And I guess I was so charged up to do as best we could that the heat really didn't bother me at all. So, I don't think it's as bad as everyone thought it was.
Well, it's a tough break for Bobby Rahal. And Danny Sullivan continues to lead here at Cleveland.
Bobby Rahal, the winner of this year's Indianapolis 500-mile race, out of competition here in Cleveland this afternoon after losing an engine and smacking the retaining wall. There's Sullivan in corner number 9, continuing to lead. Next time by, he will complete lap number 56. He moves on to the main straightaway at this moment. He's 3 seconds ahead of Emerson Fittipaldi. We're glad you could join us on this 4th of July holiday weekend for this IndyCar race. We'll be back with more live from Cleveland in a moment. Profiles of the 6 American syndicates looking to regain the cup, and of course highlighted with the coverage itself beginning January 12th. Well, Danny Sullivan is into the pit area, and so is Emerson Fittipaldi. So the 2 leaders are in at the same time. Let's watch the work here on Danny Sullivan's car. The Penske crew goes to work on it. They're putting fuel in, and the tanks are topped off, and he is being pushed off. Meanwhile, Emerson Fittipaldi continues to remain in the pit area. Danny Sullivan is moving. He's going to get back on the track in first place once again. They're still working on Emerson Fittipaldi. Now the work is completed. He goes back out onto the racetrack. But Sullivan is going to hang on to the advantage here after the second round of pit stops.
I got tuned into that pit stop just a couple of seconds late, but I did not see a tire change as we look at Michael Andretti, the third of the 3 leaders dominating this race. I did not see a tire change for Danny Sullivan, but I did for Emerson Fittipaldi. So it remains to be seen whether or not getting new rubber will make Emil quicker. You can see what appears to be new tires on the front of Michael's car, and they're having trouble getting it fired. There it goes. He's got new rubber at least in the front. Chances are they changed it all the way around.
Could be a clutch problem. Last weekend at the Meadowlands, that was a very important piece of equipment as both the leader and several other of the top competitors lost their clutches, and it could be that that's the problem with Michael Andretti because he was very slow getting out of the pits. That, of course, will be reflected on our Vassar stats, voice-activated sports reporting. It will be able to tell us exactly how long a time he did take to get out of the pit area. Well, let's go down to Jack Arute, who's with Jeff Brabham, who was running so strong before the car failed on him.
Jeff, you gave the Honda a good run, but just not long enough.
No, unfortunately, I think something went wrong with the gearbox, and as we came down the straight there, the engine was still running, but the car wasn't going forward, so it was a shame. We unfortunately lost the clutch at the start of the race, and that meant we took a very long pit stop, which dropped us back, I think. But, you know, we're really quite pleased about it. Spirit went well, and we'll get him at the next one.
Do you find it difficult as a driver to try and do some on-the-scene research and development like you're doing with the Honda engine?
Well, not really, because, you know, the Honda's so reliable now, we just treat it like a Cosworth, and we just go about our normal business, and it's only when you get out of the car and look at the back there and you see it says Honda and not Cosworth, you know you've got something different in there.
Well, he's kind of used to it, guys. His father was the pioneer of the rear engine for IndyCar racing. Now he's trying to bring the Honda into active competition.
And once again, we repeat that it was the gearbox that failed on that car, not the Honda engine itself. Jeff Brabham is out of the race, and we'll be finishing right around 12th position, something like that. As we only have now...
Not only that...
Oh!
Somebody's side. Is that Emil?
I believe it's Fittipaldi who's moving very slowly on the main straightaway. There he is, limping toward the pit area. Tough break for Emerson Fittipaldi. He has his hand in the air as to indicate that I am in trouble. So, Emerson Fittipaldi, who was running second, is going to be losing that position and possibly dropping out of the race.
And remember, he just stopped for his routine pit stop, so it's not a matter of running out of fuel. Coming in that slow, you got to figure that it's either in the engine or somewhere in the drivetrain, and Emerson Fittipaldi is probably out of this race.
Well, we only had 3 cars on the lead lap. Sullivan, Fittipaldi, Fittipaldi and Michael Andretti, and now with Fittipaldi gone, we only have 2 cars on the lead lap. This man right here, Danny Sullivan and Michael Andretti.
What we're beginning to hear is Sullivan is going to be asked to come in for a stop and go. Now, I haven't seen the chalkboard, haven't seen the black flag come out, but if that's true, that is going to bring Danny Sullivan in and possibly put Michael Andretti into the lead. Let's see
Here he comes.
Here comes Danny in.
Here he comes. The violation apparently was running over a hose or some pit violation, but there you can see the stop and go penalty. He only has to come in, stop the car, he can immediately go again, and that's exactly what's going on. Sullivan at the exit to the pit area and back out on the racetrack. But this does
Michael's not even close. Yeah. Michael just went through the mid-stretch, Bob, and heading towards the back 40, so Danny still has about a 30-second lead.
All this will do is close up the gap slightly, but it'll still mean that Danny Sullivan retains a rather healthy lead. And there you can see some of the Patrick crew members pushing Emerson Fittipaldi's very sick race car into the pit area.
A healthy lead indeed, Bob, because that means that only Michael, with approximately 30 seconds in arrears, is on the same lap with the leader, Danny Sullivan. Right now running in third is going to be the number 5 car of Mario Andretti.
Pat Patrick, the owner of the Fittipaldi car. Let's go to Jack Arute.
Pat, it had to be a bittersweet feeling when the engine blew on Emerson Fittipaldi's car. Just moments before that, Danny Sullivan was called in for a stop-and-go penalty, and you would have inherited the lead. What put you out of the race?
Well, our engine quit, and we don't know really why. It's not a bittersweet feeling. It's a terrible feeling.
You've had a tough year. You know, you've had the good at Indianapolis and then the bad. Is it just one little thing, or is it a whole combination of things that have really kept you from being as super competitive as I thought you were going to be at the beginning of the year with Kevin's great victory?
I think it's a combination of things. We just can't seem to get our act together. I don't understand it. The engine's being done by the best engine guy in the country, and we're doing something wrong. I don't know what it is. We'll figure it out, though.
Well, they've got a lot of the season left, and you can be sure of one thing. If it can be done, the Patrick Racing team will make sure that they do it.
Well, Franz Weiss is the new man doing the engines with the Patrick team. The first time he was with the team, they had an engine last week. They finished second at the Meadowlands. One more word about Larry Curry. You might ask the question, why would a guy who was the chief mechanic who almost won the Indianapolis 500 leave? Well, there are a lot of personal reasons there. As best as we can figure out, there are no deep-seated personal hard feelings that were involved here, but Larry was simply not comfortable. It wasn't the type of work environment that he felt that he could feel most comfortable in. Highest level at his own capacity. He had very glowing words for Kevin Colgan. He said, I left of my own accord. I'm very happy to be back with Jacques Villeneuve. And of course, Jacques wanted Larry to come back because he and Larry together combined for Jacques' only IndyCar victory ever.
Johnny Rutherford has been in the pit area for a long time now. Danny Sullivan, because of that stop-and-go penalty, there are now 3 cars on the lead lap as Mario Andretti was able to unlap himself. So it's Sullivan, Michael Andretti, and Mario Andretti, those 3 cars, first, second, and third on the lead lap. Now, Johnny Rutherford is still in the pit area. He's remaining in the race car, but he has been in for a long time and losing valuable laps. Johnny Rutherford, who also has turned in some excellent performances this year and is 8th in the point standings, is in the pits, and it appears as if his race may also be over. We're at Burke Lakefront Airport in Cleveland, Ohio for the Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix. 63 laps have been completed out of 88. We'll be right back.
There's a little bit of...
After 6, we leave you. It is Danny Sullivan in first place with Michael Andretti in second place and Mario Andretti in third place. That's in the CART Cleveland Auto Race. As it stands right now, Andretti in third place. Let's pick up the action on ESPN.
Back at Cleveland, we have rechecked with timing and scoring, and we now see that Mears and Sneva are on the same lap, battling for position. Now, Danny Sullivan is playing it conservatively. You can see that Rick Mears has already unlapped himself, and it appears as if Tom Sneva will also be doing so in this lap. So it is Rick Mears who is now 4th on the lead lap, and Tom Sneva is 5th, but battling with Rick Mears for that position.
As a matter of fact, we picked it up on the radio. Danny Sullivan was told to kind of move over, play it conservative, as you said, Bob, and let Rick go by. But we believe the implication was, don't make it real hard on Sneva either, but we'll see how he plays it.
All right, will he sort Osborne to serve as a blocker here for his teammate and allowing Rick Mears to put some distance between himself and Tom Sneva, with whom he is battling for position.
There's no question he's making it a little harder on Tom. So far, there haven't been any moves that you could really look at him with a raised eyebrow, but he's not giving it away, let's say that.
Teamwork, teamwork. Now Sullivan raises his hand.
Here comes Tom.
Yeah, Sullivan raised his hand and said, Tom, you go right ahead and race with Rick. So that's the situation now. Sneva has unlapped himself. There are 5 cars on the lead lap, but Danny Sullivan still has about a 45.5-second lead over Michael Andretti, who is in second position. Then Mario is third, followed by Mears and Tom Sneva. In sixth, 3 laps down now, is Raul Boesel in car number 22. Then Jose Legarza is 7th. 8th is Al Unser Jr., 4 laps down. 9th is Randy Lanier, and in 10th position is Johnny Rutherford. Also out there in competition still, Rick Muskiewicz in car number 16, and Dale Coyne in number 19 apparently has dropped out of the race. So 11 cars still out there on the racetrack.
And Nick Fenoro has displayed the white flag. We're only showing 86 laps off the computer, but the white flag has definitely been displayed. Danny Sullivan is on his last lap, which he certainly hopes to be a victory lap. The attrition, we must say, was not nearly as severe as we thought it was today. Here comes Sullivan coming around. Long front stretch. You get up to about 175 miles an hour and look for checker.
He's at the end of the main straightaway. Only 2 more turns to negotiate, and Danny Sullivan will have this victory in his back pocket. There he's around corner number 11. Now corner 12. He's on the straightaway. He raised his hand. The checkered flag is out. Danny Sullivan wins the Budweiser Cleveland Grand Prix, his second consecutive IndyCar victory.
Michael Andretti is in second place. He is about 40 seconds behind, so he has got most of the course to execute to get around. Third place. Here comes Michael out of the back 40. Again, that's that quarter-mile rectangle. Not yet on the long, long front stretch.
Here he comes now on the straightaway. Right there, going around corner number 10, onto the main straightaway. Picking up speed as he comes down here. Michael Andretti looking for second position here in this IndyCar race, and points that will keep him on top of the PPG IndyCar World Series point standings. He takes the checkered flag. Michael Andretti finishes in second position, now running third on the racetrack, and we'll wait for him to come around. His father, Mario Andretti, who finishes about 58 seconds behind. Here's Mario off the last corner. He takes the checkered. Mario finishes in third position. Here comes Rick Mears. He finishes fourth. And right behind him is Tom Sneva, who finishes in fifth. 5 cars finish here on the lead lap of this IndyCar race. And Danny Sullivan has another win in his pocket. There is Rick Mears. He's already taken the checkered flag. And there is Tom Sneva right behind Rick at the end of the event.
Well, the engineers have really done their job on the fuel economy, because we heard on the radio that Sullivan said, I had plenty of fuel, no problem.
Victory Lane is being formed in the pit area. We'll be there, and we'll talk to Danny Sullivan right after this break. Interview is being brought to you by Goodyear Eagles. You either have Goodyear Eagles or you need them. And in Victory Lane with the winner, Danny Sullivan, here is Jack Arute.
Well, it's a very happy Danny Sullivan that's made it 2 in a row now. You've won at the Meadowlands, and did just like Al Unser Jr. did last year, came back to Cleveland and won again. Congratulations.
Thank you. It was tough. I owe a lot of that to my crew, if not all of it, because they first built the car, and then they got me ahead in the pit stops, and they kept me there. Even though we had to do a little stop and go, they said they just weren't sure. And but they got me out there, and I owe it all to those guys, because they put me out there and week after week. Thank you.
Woo! Now, take a look at this helmet, Danny. What's all this on the front of it? Looks like you were really working hard out there and had poor visibility.
Well, it was a little poor, particularly this corner back over here, about 6 or 7. I think that we had a little Mario team seemed to want to be doing a lot of dirt tracking there toward the end. Probably his car wasn't working. That was the best spot. So anyway, and
what about the fact, you started the year, there was a lot of talk about you being selected the guy to run the PC-15, test it, try it out, go to the Chevrolet engine. You're back in the March with the Cosworth Power, and things seem to be coming together for you.
Well, they are, but the PC-15 Chevrolet is not dead by any stretch of the imagination. And this is a joint deal, so that's why Rick's been in it, Big Al's been in it, and I've been in it, and we haven't quite worked out all the bugs, and all of us at the Miller-Penske team, you know, they still like to win. So we figured we better have a shot at the March.
Now, it was a brand new chassis for you, and I think it's kind of an interesting story. The first chassis that you had last year, I think, was numbered 16. You totaled that one at Portland, kind of like you did last year. And then the new chassis last year was 37, and you did so well in that. What's the chassis number on this one?
I believe it's 37, and I believe it's also the same motor that we had last week at the Meadowlands, last year at Miami, and last year at Indy, and I think Big Al had it at Phoenix as well. So it's a popular motor.
Well, guys, like they would say on that great TV show, believe it or not.
Danny Sullivan, the winner here in Cleveland this afternoon. He took the lead for the final time on the 30th lap from Emerson Fittipaldi and led the remaining laps to capture his second victory. Boy, there was a tremendous crowd on hand here this afternoon. I think it speaks well for the publicity that this race was given. The city gets behind it, and the media really gets behind this race that have brought these thousands of race fans to this facility here for this IndyCar race. And you can see they're now beginning to pour out of their seats and make the long journey home. We'll be back to have some more comments from Cleveland, Ohio, where Danny Sullivan has won this afternoon. Our race summary shows that Danny Sullivan wins here today in Cleveland, leading 59 laps, a margin of victory 44 1/4 seconds. The time, 1 hour, 43 minutes and 1 second. The lap leader was Sullivan, who took over for the final time on lap number 30. The top 10 finishers: Michael Andretti finishes second, Mario Andretti third, Rick Mears is fourth, Tom Sneva finishes fifth. Finishing in sixth position was Raul Boesel, seventh was Jose Legarza, eighth was Al Unser Jr., ninth Randy Lanier, and 10th was Johnny Rutherford. Well, today's Cleveland Budweiser Grand Prix has been brought to you by Goodyear. You either have Goodyear Eagles or you need them. By Pennzoil Motor Oil, quality protection. Ask for it. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford? Was it